Is it possible to combine the meerkat and the devil-horned viper in one habitat? Let me show you around this beautiful African indoor habitat that I built for the meerkats and also the first exhibit in here for the devil-horned viper. In this video I'm going to show you how I built the habitat for the meerkat in our small mammal African house and how I included the exhibit for the vipers. My name is Simfira and let's get started. In the last two episodes we were building for the African spurred tortoise and the Kirkstickdig for our newest building in the Leuchenzee Zoo, which is a African house including a variety of small mammals from the African grasslands and the desert. In today's episode we are going to build the habitat for the meerkats, and we are also going to include the very first exhibit in here, which is the devil-horned viper. At the beginning I didn't even really plan on including an exhibit within this habitat, but as I was building the background for this habitat, I thought it would be a nice idea to have like a little terrarium in the back where it would be somewhat embedded into the background and it looking like really natural with the rocks that you'll later see embedding the whole vivarium in there. And also the terrarium for the devil horned viper was just super fitting from like the basic layout that Planet Zoo is giving us. So I thought that would be a perfect match and I really love the outcome. For the meerkat habitat, I already roughly laid out the shape that I wanted to have for the habitat with just painting the soil, and I really quickly knew that I wanted to have these glass barriers and have like a variety of rock formations that also were planters. So you can see like the soil paint is for the habitat and then the rock paint is for the rock formation that I'm going to include. I wanted to have this big circular glass front right when you go towards the meerkat habitat, and then it being interrupted by the rock formations, and then have two more smaller viewing sections in the back. I also wanted to somewhat hide the other two smaller sections when you were looking from the front, so I tried to place the rock formations in a way where you wouldn't really see the other viewing galleries. I believe I learned this in one of Haribo's videos, where he said that you are not supposed to see other guests when you're looking into the habitat, like the other guests being like way in the back. So I tried to keep that in mind and somehow recreate that. I think you would still be able to see other guests, but I feel like this is like much more natural look, especially with the big rock formation in the very back that you are going to see a little bit later. I also didn't want to use the exact same rock formations that I use for the other two habitats in the front, so to create a little bit of more variation I used a different rock formation. It is also from Caesar, because those are just the best rock formations that you can use. So I used that with the faux rocks, but I don't believe that those are the like actual faux rocks, but these are like the temple pieces, I believe. So I used these and I really loved the outcome. I just kept in mind to slightly angle the wall that is towards the meerkat habitat, so they wouldn't be really able to climb this and get out of the habitat. But other than that, I really loved the outcome. I just changed the color, and as I said, I also wanted to have the rock formations as planters to have more plants on top of them. And as I was building the big background for the habitat, I thought that it would be a nice idea to have the backstage area for the meerkats included within the background, or not really in the background, but within the rock formation. So I made this little walkthrough for the meerkats, and I wanted to have just a really small backstage area where the meerkats could be kept inside if there would be maintenance in the habitat, or where they could be like sick animals be kept in there, and just like a little station for the staff where they can just put down their tools. So it's nothing crazy, nothing too big, but just like a little way to have the backstage area connected to the meerkat habitat without having like this big building right in the middle of the African Small Mammal House. And for the foliage work and the terrain, I this time didn't use an inspiration from real life, from a different zoo, or even other Planet Zoo builds, but this time I took my inspiration from Red Dead Redemption 2. During the time where I started building the Meerkat habitat, I was also playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and as I was like playing the game, I was also in like a more deserty area, and I thought the foliage work was pretty nice, so I took some screenshots and later used these to have like a different kind of inspiration for this habitat. And at the end, I really liked the end result for this. There was this one like rock formation with this dead tree in the middle, that I screenshotted from the Red Dead Redemption game, and so I tried to recreate this a little bit in like the very front when you look at the Meerkat habitat, and then I also somewhat took inspiration from that for the rest of the habitat. I added these two like slightly elevated places because the meerkats just love to stand on elevated places, for especially the one animal that is on the lookout for the whole group. So I try to incorporate that so they can have their natural behavior within this habitat. For the foliage, I wanted to use a little bit of greenery to not make it look too like rocky and sandy, so I used these small bushes, and I used like 2 or 3 different kinds to have like a little bit of a color variation in there too, and I lowered them more into the ground so they would be even smaller. And then I of course used my normal foliage palette that I always use with the grasses, with the buffalo grass, and I also somewhat tried to use the same foliage that I also did for the tortoises and the dik-dik, so it would look more cohesive throughout the whole building. And as I said in the beginning, I kind of wanted to make the habitat in a way where the guests from one viewing section wouldn't be really able to see the guests from the other viewing section. So in this one place, I'm going to add like a little bit higher rock to kind of block the view a little bit. And I also decided to use one more tree that is not a dead tree to have a bit more greenery and a little bit more of height within this habitat, because I felt like it was missing something. So I just did that to have a little bit more of like depth in here. The traversable area from the meerkat is honestly so great, even though it is a little bit more older animal, so I wasn't really scared to like block the way for the meerkats. At the end, as I was placing the animals in there, I just had to like rearrange just a little bit and also add more faux rocks for like a little slope so that the animals could walk up and down in different areas. But other than that, the traversable area is really great from these animals. For the rock formations, I used the pig face to make it look like a climbing plant that is just slowly creeping up those rocks, and I really love the look of this plant. You can use it as like a floor plant where it is covering the ground and the floor a little bit, or you can use it on like walls and it looks like a climbing plant. I really love this. I just completely forget to use it all the time, but in this habitat and generally in this whole building, I want to incorporate that a bit more. And I also added some decals to make the faux walks also look a little bit more sandy and not so sterile, so it looks a little bit more lived in this habitat. And I also added one little heating spot for the meerkats where they could go under the little heating lamp and heat up a bit more. When it was time to add the devil horned viper, I was a little bit indecisive in the beginning on how exactly to add it and how to incorporate it within the like stone background, but at the end I really liked the end result. I was just trying to figure out how to exactly make the terrarium itself look like. But at the end, I was taking some other inspiration from other creators and from like real life terrariums in zoos, and I feel like I managed it really well, I also decided to use the other temple rocks to kind of have like a more fitting barrier, as the normal rock wall was a little bit too rough to look good. So I embedded the other temple rock in there too, and then made just the whole terrarium look a little bit more realistic with all the little like metal panels and stuff like that. And we are almost at the end of this episode, but don't you close this video yet, because there are more cinematic shots to come at the very end where you can see more of this habitat. I hope you enjoyed this video and how I designed the habitat for the meerkats, and also the way I included the devil horned viper in here. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more in the future, what is about to come with all the beautiful habitats that I planned. Now I'm saying my goodbyes, I'm leaving you with these cinematic shots. I hope to see you in the next episode. Until then, bye guys!